on this episode of Raising the Wild Ones podcast. Thought it'd be a really cool idea to interview my dad and ask him a lot of weird, random questions.
I've always considered myself a scientist, but I'm a scientist that's also a believer. And it was 2 or 3 o'clock. I was just sleeping and had them old reclining lawn chairs that you could lay back in. I was dozing. And you come over to me, Dad, wake up. What? The police are here.
The police are the sheriff.
I'm surprised that when I got off on talking about Coast to Coast AM, you didn't tell the story of the floating orb.
I thought about it.
Raising the Wild Ones podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. I'm Dustin. Caleb's not here right now, and so he's off enjoying Christmas festivities with his family, doing Christmassy things, and I hope he listens to this podcast so I can be like, hey man, well, on Christmas Day, I was working, and you were just chilling and hanging out, Caleb. But today I've got a special guest with me. My dad came into town for Christmas, and I thought it'd be a really cool idea to interview my dad and ask him a lot of weird, random questions. But first off, Dad. No, I guess you could tell your name. What's your actual name? You're not just Dad.
Kyle Wright.
Kyle Wright. Kyle, do you got any dad jokes for us to start us off?
Yes. Being that it's Christmas, I have one that's really pretty good. Why was a snowman embarrassed when he was spotted rummaging through a bag of carrots?
Why?
He got caught picking his nose.
See, you said that joke like 2 minutes ago, and it's still funny.
That is a good one.
I mean, it's still funny.
That is a good one.
I got one I pulled up for you. You ready?
Go.
My boss said I need to dress for the job I want, not the job I have. But then he told me to go home because I showed up like Batman. That's a good one.
Very good.
So, okay, I guess you want to tell us a little bit about yourself. I guess, because you could talk about grandkids. I mean,
oh, yeah.
How many grandkids you got, which are the same kids as I got? Or
Well, let's see. I'm 64 years old, approaching retirement, but not quite there yet. I still work. I work for the federal government, Department of Agriculture, as a natural resource conservationist specialized in water quality. I'm fondly referred to by my grandkids as Grumpy Paw, and I embrace it. I'm cool with that. I don't mind being Grumpy Paw.
there's a random joke that happens quite regularly about how he's going to open up a food truck, or it's going to be Grumpy Paw's food truck.
Yeah, I told him we'd looking for ways to make money in retirement, that maybe I would sell burritos out of a van, and I would be the grumpy driver that when somebody comes, I'll be like, you better get your burrito because I'm not waiting for you. Hurry up, get this, just be grumpy, And the grandkids would be like, oh, don't worry about him. That's just Grumpy Paw.
That's just Grumpy Paw.
Yep. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I like to fish. I like to go to the coast. I like to hunt. Though I don't do them near as often as I used to, but still a little bit here and there, have fun.
He does end up going to the beach a lot more than I do, and I like to surf fish. And so I feel like my dad rubs it in a lot when he's at the beach and he sends pictures of him fishing, on the piers or whatever.
Yes. I do spend quite a bit of time with the coast. Fortunately for me, being a water quality specialist, there's lots of water along the coastal areas, so I do spend quite a bit of time working along the coast, Corpus Christi area, and he's right. I'm down there probably not necessarily every month, but at least every other month, so maybe every 6 weeks or so.
All right. Well, okay, so since it is Christmas time, do you have any funny, just weird Christmas stories to kind of kick us off with here?
Funny, weird Christmas stories. Well, when I grew up, my family, their favorite thing to do, and they had great fun out of it, was just scare kids crazy with Santa Claus.
I think I've heard this one.
And my uncle used to do it all the time. As somebody would sneak outside, and you would hear jingle bells and go running out, and you would swear it was Santa. He was taking off. He was, it wasn't necessarily Christmas yet, but he was out looking at you, making sure you were being good. And I remember one time, and I thought it was just hilarious. I was older. I think maybe we were working with you, picking on you with Santa Claus, and we walked outside, and I was like, "Smell that? You know what that is? That smells like reindeer poop."
Smells like reindeer poop.
Well, it's like a hunter, I can smell it. Yeah, that's what that was.
Santa's been here.
Santa was here. Yeah. Those are always funny Christmas stories. One from older, and being that you guys are podcasting about dads and different things like that, I remember one eventful Christmas night that you got a tent that was shaped like a tank. And so got the great idea to put this thing together in the back bedroom, and then we could just pull it out and set it up by the tree. And the interesting part of that is once I got it together in the bedroom, it wouldn't come out of the door. It wouldn't fit. And so then it's like, oh, great. Well, take it back down.
Take it back down.
Move it out. Put it back.
I remember
one of those good building toys or whatever on Christmas Eve. Another one that's always kind of funny that I think I believe back in the day, micro machines were an awesome thing that all the kids loved. And I swear you opened up a big micro machines like one like you get or give for Christmas, and it would have 5,000 decals. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'll never get all these decals on in the right spot.
I remember you talk about Christmas stuff. I remember the year that you and Mom got super sick when we were over at Nanny's house.
Yes.
And we were over at Nanny's house, and I remember just hanging out, and Mom's getting sick, and she's laying down, and then at some point, you're like, we got to go or we're not driving home.
Yeah.
And I remember we're the whole Santa thing, right? And so we're hanging out, and I'm sitting there with my mom, and she's just like dying sick, and you come in at like 9 o'clock after getting things set up, and it's like 10:15, and I walk out in the living room like, guys, check it out. Santa's been here. Guys, check it out. And you're like, oh, that's great. We'll deal with it in the morning.
Yeah. That was one of those rough Christmases. I mean, my family always celebrates Christmas on Christmas Eve, and we were over there. We hadn't even opened presents or done the meal or anything really. I guess maybe we'd open presents, but yeah, some kind of stomach bug got her, and 30 minutes later it's like, yeah, it's got me too. And yeah, that was a struggle to get it all out that time.
It's good stuff. Yep. Even this morning, me and Lindsay, we got technically the grandparents got the kids a big old basketball hoop, since we've actually just moved out to some acreage. And so the kids wake us up early this morning, and so it's 7 o'clock, and me and Lindsay are trying to put this basketball hoop together, still half awake. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I got another question for you. This a little, not really off the wall, but what is your favorite kind of hunting? You said you like to go hunting. I guess hunting or fishing. That's a good one. If you had to pick to either hunt for the rest of your life and you couldn't go fishing, or go fishing and you couldn't go hunting, what would it be?
Man, they're both really pretty close, but I'd say I'd go fish. I would fish from now on and give up the hunting. Of course, older in life, I fished more than I hunted. Growing up, of course, my grandfather had property, so I had access, and we hunted a lot more over the time. And moving around with a job, I haven't had access, so there's been many years that I didn't hunt.
Yeah.
But I was still able to go fish somewhere, so... Yep, fishing would be the over hunting, but I do enjoy both.
You do enjoy
probably just more of availability and access.
Well, you got a good fish story for us?
A good fishing story. Let's see. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
I remember there was a time we were fishing in the middle of the night when we caught that massive stingray. You talk about
that
fishing.
Was pretty awesome. We were surf fishing. We were down on the coast, and we decided we were going to go out at night, and we had about I don't know, 5 or 6 poles that we had pole stands driven in the sand, and we would bait up and then just leave it alone for an hour. And then after an hour, we'd go pull them up one by one, rebait, and throw them back out. And, middle of the night, we were rebaiting, I believe, and we were on like the second or third pole, and all of a sudden looked back, and the pole that we had just freshened the bait up and thrown was singing. I mean, that reel was singing. It was a solid fiberglass saltwater pole.
It was a boat rod. It was a heavy
duty boat rod, and it's been at a 90-degree angle. I mean, something is taking it. I thought, man, we got Moby Dick or a 18-foot great white or something. We've got a massive fish on here. And so I hollered at you. You ran and grabbed the pole. I think it took both of us.
But I do remember because I couldn't get it out. We had to
both of us to get it up, to get it out of the holder. It was in such a bind. And then you worked it. You got it in, but as I remember, it went down the beach. We kept it from making a run out, but it was going down the beach. And so we kept walking down the beach with it, working it. Probably took about 30 minutes or maybe longer, I don't know, and landed it, and it was a massive stingray. I don't know how much it weighed, but it was 2 or 3 foot across, and I think what he was doing is they'll lay down on the sand and just kind of suck in, and you can't do nothing with them. But yeah, that was a pretty cool one. That was pretty cool. Yeah,
that was a fun one. I remember that one. That one was good.
Yep.
I remember checking trot line. I got a good story to tell. I'll tell a story on my old dad here.
Oh yeah.
I remember checking trot lines at Paws one day, and you shooting a hole in the boat. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we go down to check trot lines. I can remember the night, morning, or whatever. And there's a rattlesnake, and you had a little. What was that? It was a 20. It was a 22 revolver, wasn't it?
I had a 22 revolver. Yeah, one of those little Ruger 22s. Yep.
And I think you pulled it out to shoot at the snake, and I can't remember if you shot at the snake.
I shot at the boat. Well, no, I didn't actually hit the boat, but I came so close that I was like, this ain't going to work. I can't do this anymore. So, yeah, no, I don't have a 22 hole in the bottom of a flat bottom boat, but it was real close. Yeah. There was also one night, and this was, back when I was a kid, when we were in high school, me and my buddies, that was weekend entertainment. Is we had like 3 different places. We had trot lines out that we just left out at all places, and would go out on the weekend, clean them off, and bait them every weekend. You know, when it was warm enough, we were running trot lines. And one night we're out there in a flat bottom boat. Only light we got is Coleman lantern, sitting on the seat of the boat, and we caught a fish or something, got the boat to rocking, and I can remember just slowly watching that Coleman lantern slide across the seat of the flat bottom boat, tip over the side, and sizzle as it goes underneath it. And then you're sitting in the river in the middle of the night, pitch dark, not a light, not a flashlight, not nothing, thinking, oh, crap. Just lost my Coleman lantern.
Just lost the lantern. It's gone.
But, we recovered it.
Did you get the lantern? You got the lantern back?
Went back the next morning, got out there, swam out there, held onto the boat, knew where we were on the trot line, so we got to that point along the line, and with a rake, you could feel the bottom, and raked along and caught it and pulled it back up. Still got that Coleman lantern. It still works.
Oh, is that?
Yes, that's my old Coleman lantern.
I didn't even know that was the same lantern.
Yep.
We used that.
Those were some good fishing stories.
Well, even you tell that fishing story, and I remember the one where we're out fishing and those 2 random guys fell in the river. You remember that?
That was hilarious.
You never know who's listening or who's watching, and even what's going on. And so we're fishing or something. I think we were I don't even know if we were in the boat. I think we were just on the shore.
We were on the bank. We were out there at that church property that we used to fish at on Lake Nasworthy. And it was right next to one of the frats had a lake house, and I think they had been partying excessively that night. There was lots of laughing and carrying on and carousing, and then all of a sudden you hear some splashing here and there every once in a while, and then just in a still of the night you hear a huge crack
of a limb of
a log.
tree. And a big
And a
splash.
big splash. One of those nuts had climbed out on a limb to do something, and it broke.
And it didn't land it.
And he wound up
He wound
in
up
the water.
I remember that's good
Like
stuff.
at 2 or 3 in the morning.
You never know when you're out carousing in the middle of the night what random fishermen are just down the river or down the lake listening to
There was that one night we were fishing out there, I remember, and we were on that property, and it was middle of the night because I had fallen asleep and you had stayed up, and it was 2 or 3 o'clock. I was just sleeping and had them old like reclining lawn chairs that you could lay back in. I was dozing, and you come over to me, Dad, wake up! What? The police are here.
The sheriff. I remember that. The sheriff pulls in and starts walking over there.
Pulls up to the gate and comes in there. I don't remember what they were doing, but maybe just, making the rounds and checking. We talked to him for a minute and then went on. So
we were totally legal. We had all we had our fishing license. We were good. We
were supposed to be there.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I guess our podcast is kind of we talk, biblical Christianity, theology, all that kind of fun stuff, but also like parenting.
Yes.
So, how? I guess this is an off the wall question for you, and you can just want to just thought of how does like dealing with the outdoors and like introducing like your kids, I guess primarily me to like the outdoors. How does that like play into parenting? And is it better for like you to introduce like fishing and hunting and just generally walking in the outdoors to your kids, and what are like benefits that I guess you saw, I guess in me, but you've kind of just generally seen about kids in the outdoors?
Oh well, yeah, I think it's important if and when you have the opportunity. I mean, I know some people don't have the opportunity as much as others, but yeah, I was lucky enough to grow up out in the country, and so we spent time outdoors. I think it gives you a sense of the world around you. It gives you a better understanding of what's important. I think it helped to mold me into being a natural resource guy, knowing the importance of it, and just where its place is and how everything works. I mean, it's all there's a lot of stuff goes on outside of the walls of a building or a home or an apartment or anything like that, and I think it's important. Yeah.
And even like I kind of think just biblical side of it too. I mean, you get to see God's creation and
exactly,
and how it all like plays into be, and even deer hunting. I love deer hunting, but for the most part, I think I enjoy watching deer, and just watching how it all interacts.
Oh yeah. I think it's it's amazing, all the creation out there, and God had a hand in it. All of it. There's, to me, I just can't see how it could have just happened. The way some talk about with evolution and stuff. I've always considered myself a scientist, but I'm a scientist that's also a believer. I don't know about all that kind of stuff. I think it's something had a hand in it somewhere back. Yeah.
And some that created it all and pushed it. I guess I almost wanted to ask you if you were like old Earth or young Earth, but that's a completely.
You should know that one.
I know the answer to that one, but we just had a guy on a couple of weeks ago that kind of talked about old Earth stuff. So
I'm old Earth. I've always thought old Earth. I think there's too much evidence in the fossil record to believe that it happened in 6,000 years. I think it's longer than that.
It's longer than that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really hope Kara, my mother-in-law, listens to this podcast, because I don't know if you remember some of my favorite memories from like as a teenager when I met Lindsay is like hearing like you and Kara talk, because Kara's very much a young earther.
Yeah.
And how you would just ask her questions and she would just be like, well, I don't know. One of my favorite kind of memories of my dad growing up is we questioned things. Like I remember, when I remembered at a point in time where I was like, Dad, how can I know Christianity is the way? And I remember we looked at Islam and we looked at different religions, and I remember us kind of walking through that.
Yes.
And so that's another. Is there anything wrong with questioning? Trying to find the answer.
I talked about it earlier, and of course you know this. I'm just telling it for the listeners, but I've always considered myself a scientist, and really the main focus of science, what it asks you to do is to question everything, and then develop theories and hypotheses, and then test them to see if they work. And so, yeah, you're testing. Your mom, my wife, she gripes at me all the time because she says my whole life is an experiment, and she's absolutely right. I'm always coming in like, hey, got this new variety of whatever in the garden. I'm going to run an experiment, and she's like, oh yeah, I know you are. And there's nothing wrong with it. Figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to take somebody's word for it. And you're right. We went through series and studied all the different religions. I think I'm Christian because it's closest to what I believe.
Yeah.
Same thing. I grew up Baptist. I've always considered myself a Baptist. Now, do I believe everything the Baptists believe? Probably not. But it most closely matches my own religion and philosophy.
Religion and philosophy and religious views and
my
biblical
views.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So I guess here's another one. See, the best part about this is all these questions are coming to me that I didn't even prep my dad for at all.
Sure.
How do you try to relate that to kids? How do you try to teach kids it's okay? Or do you just kind of work with them as it comes? It's okay to question. I mean,
sure. No, I think you do. I think you encourage it to a certain extent. Of course, kids are all young and influenceable and you mold them. So there are times that you probably need to say, "Hey, we just need to believe this," or you fall back on the old parental saying, why am I doing that? Because I said so, that kind of thing. But I think it can be encouraged at times that, hey, if you're questioning this, if you've got some thoughts or ideals, or you don't understand something, let's take a deeper look. Let's go deeper. Let's dig and do an experiment, and let's see how it turns out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to encourage that in them.
Is there anything, I guess now, even later on now, that you still kind of dig in and question and look at kind of biblically? Is there anything that you're looking at? I hate to say it because I think I asked that question and I know the answer because
yeah, answer.
I just got that book, and it's a weird book. We don't have to talk about it, but basically my dad got a book that's a funky book. It's about religious views, but it's called the 12th Planet, something like that. I'm not going to endorse the book here. Don't worry.
No. Don't endorse that one.
It's weird.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny. I gave you that book as a Christmas gift, and like I told you after you opened it, I said this is kind of like a gag gift, or because the only reason you got it is because I accidentally ordered two. I wouldn't force you to have to read it. Gosh, it was a hard read. It was like reading a college textbook. I thought after I read it, I should have just studied it chapter by chapter and took notes and everything, because that's kind of what it felt like as you were back in college studying. But this actually ties back to some of our early things that you and I went through. Fishing. When we used to fish at night, and we loved to sit around at night in the middle of the night and listen to a radio show called Coast to Coast AM. If you guys aren't familiar with Coast to Coast AM, it's like a radio show of the paranormal. I mean, it's got all this weird stuff on it. And the announcer is really good because he does not joke or kid about anything, but man, this stuff is out there. It's left field, and the guys he has on believe it.
Yeah.
And so we, had an early development, both of us sitting there listening to that crazy stuff all night long while you're fishing, just killing time, sitting around a campfire. And so, I picked up this book. I heard about it. This is talking about Planet X. the 12th planet.
The 12th planet.
All that kind of weirdo stuff. And this guy believes it, and he's a scholarly professor, European, maybe Russian. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a noted person on that topic. Actually, the television show Ancient Aliens is his created on his studies. So anyway, I picked it up, thought I'd read it. I'm curious about 12th Planet. I don't know that I believe everything he said. The book is kind of written as a thesis where he's presenting his thesis to you and he believes it, and it's up to you to decide.
It's up to you to decide at the end.
At the end, it was kind of like, well, you may say it's obvious. I may say, might be possible. I don't know, type thing. So
we had a guy, one of I don't, you may have listened to him, is Curtis. We had Curtis on the podcast a little bit ago, and one of the questions we asked Curtis, just kind of out of nowhere, we actually released this one last week or the week and a half ago, but we asked him about like aliens, like what would you do if aliens showed up? And he said, he started talking about these idea of like hypothetical theology, like thinking through these things in like hypothetical ways. And he goes, let's not talk about hypotheticals, let's talk about scripture, and I was like, interesting. And that was kind of an interesting way to put it. But then at the same time, like, I don't know, because I mean, you're my dad. I like to think through these things, and I think, well, what if God did that? What if, how does this look? How does that look? And there may be a lot of those questions we won't get answered this side of heaven.
Exactly. I mean, the Bible tells us that. It tells us some things you won't know.
Yeah.
And to me, coming from the science side of it, I have always thought that there are things out there that are so complex and so beyond our comprehension. I mean, we're human. We have limits on what we can even believe. And so a lot of that stuff, I agree. We won't know the answer till we get to heaven. And then honestly, it probably won't matter.
It probably won't matter.
I used to think, when I get there, I've got all this list of questions I'm going to ask. The older I get now, I think when I get there, I probably won't care anymore.
You won't care anymore. It's fine. It's in.
Anyway,
so kind of to bring it back, I guess, to parenting here. So,
yes.
Well, this kind of we'll talk about this for a minute, and then we'll kind of end it on this one. Is you're now a grandparent. How is being a grandparent different than parenting? Like so I mean, I still got kids, but I mean, how do you parent as a grandparent? I mean, that seems like kind of a interesting thing to talk about there.
Well, it's kind of a complex answer, honestly. I mean, I was thinking about it while you were explaining there, trying to put together an answer, and I thought, well, it's not just cut and dried, black and white. To me, I think it depends on your situation. I think a parent or a grandparent who is called upon to raise a grandchild, parenting is going to be different than the situation I'm in, to where I'm grandparents to kids that their parents are heavily involved, with them. In my situation, it's pretty easy and laid back. I kind of operate under the assumption that if there's no great loss of blood or pain, I kind of let it go, and I'm kind of the parent that spoils them and has fun, and we don't worry so much, about rules or guidance. Yeah, I sometimes they get in trouble, and sometimes I have to bring them back and keep them in line. But for the most part, it's kind of like no harm, no foul.
No foul. And then when they come back home to my house, I say, no, you can't have that thing of Pez. I know you ate 14 things of Pez while you're at Pa's house. But we're going to put that down right now.
Yeah. But I think it's totally different if you're in the situation that you feel like you're having to parent them more. I think you're probably going to be more of a stickler with the rules and the guidance and what you can and can't do. And maybe in some situations even harder than the parents, if you feel like it's a grandparent that they're not being trained in the right way.
Yeah.
So I think it varies. Everybody's probably going to be a little different,
That's good. I like that answer. It's a good one. Just kind of taking it and
Yep.
kind of seeing where it is and seeing
Yep.
where it lands with the given situation.
I'm surprised, and I know we're running out of time. I'm surprised that when I got off on talking about Coast to Coast AM, you didn't tell the story of the floating
I
orb.
thought about it. Okay, I'm going to tell it. No, we're back on.
Or
that
maybe we
topic.
do another podcast sometime on the floating orb.
Maybe
when
we
you're
do a
fishing at
whole fishing night. I gotta say it though. It's my favorite one. We're fishing one night and we're listening to it, and this guy comes on and it's a call in, so it's not like they're experts that they have talking. It's some random guy, and he's talking about how they're in a boat and they've got this orb that's hovering just over the water and it keeps floating above the water. And so the host is going back and forth, and I mean he's talking to him, and I mean he did. I remember that show from when I was a kid. And I remember even listening to it now. I mean, he always takes everything seriously, and it's okay. What do we got? And he's like, what's going on? He goes, well, I don't know. It's just coming. I don't know what it is. And so they're starting to talk about things of what it is, and then they get off the call. I mean, it's like 2 a.m, and I'm fishing, and I'm looking at the water going, is that an orb? What's that over there? Oh, my goodness. I think some aliens are coming over there.
It was pretty freaky when you're sitting there in the dark by a campfire watching a line out there while you're fishing.
And then I can't remember how it happened, if they called back or if they just called and told him. But he came on at some point and says, well, we figured out the orb. It was a lighted bobber behind their boat. I remember that plain as day. Just
there you go.
So you may not know, as you're out in the fishing, you may have forgotten, oh, hey, Steve, put that lighted bobber on the boat. We should call that radio show back and tell them we figured this out.
It wasn't aliens.
It wasn't aliens. It was just a bobber. So, well, all right. As we finish up here, do you have any great advice and knowledge to pass on to the people of podcast land?
My gosh.
This is a heavy one right here.
I don't know. No, I don't have any great advice. It's I would say that the most interesting thing that I learned from parenthood, and now as being a grandparent, it's even more apparent. But when you first start out, and you say that there's folks out there, y'all are young couples considering having kids, or maybe that's some ways down the road. Before you have kids, you think, oh yeah, this will be easy to figure out, that it's all black and white, that everything, you will know the answer. You will know the right thing to do. But what I can tell you after parenting a child and now being a grandparent, that in my mind, nearly all of the decisions I had to make were all gray. There wasn't an obvious black and white, and it's one of the hardest struggles as a parent is trying to figure out, did I do the right thing in that situation? Because
did you make the right call?
Yeah, did I make the right call? Should I have gotten mad about that, or should I have let it go, with my kids, or maybe I was too hard on this one or too soft on that one. And that, I think that's just normal. Like I said, before you're in those situations, you think, oh yeah, answer's easy. Hey, it's not that easy when you actually get there.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to put it, and that's a good way to kind of come to the end of this one.
There
at
you
least
go.
for now here. So, all right, I'm talking to Kyle, my dad, and I don't know. I was going to say something, but I totally forgot. See, that's how this podcast works.
That's
So I
the way
go
it
to
goes.
say something and it ends.
That's the way it goes.
So now that's how we're going to end it. We're going to end it on the thought that quite possibly could never be now. And so that could have been it. That could have been the best information of the whole podcast.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
if you think
on.
of it later, we'll kick it in and run another one or something sometime.
Oh, it'll come up at some point.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, there we go. Hey guys, thank you for listening to Raising the Wild Ones podcast. Man, I sure had a lot of fun interviewing my dad. I won't lie, it was a lot of fun stuff just sitting there talking. I could talk to my dad just for hours and hours about a lot of random stuff, and maybe we'll do it again. Maybe it'll be fun. We'll do it again. Maybe we'll get Caleb and members of his family too to come on, and he can interview some of them, and we could just see how it goes. And so, guys, just thank you guys for listening. And I wanted to remind you guys about a few little things. We've got a giveaway going on in January here. That giveaway is for a cool mug from Common Grounds Coffee House. And so to enter that giveaway right now, just send us an email and say, I want to enter the giveaway. That's definitely a good way to do that. And that's at raisingwildonespodcast@gmail.com. And so that's how you enter that giveaway. There's also going to be some posts on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of fun stuff on how to enter that giveaway as well. So be sure to like and follow those social medias and tell people about the podcast, right? We're towards the tail end of hunting season, and you're just sitting around looking at the cold weather outside. And you know what's good during cold weather? Podcasts, and listening to them, and telling other people to listen to podcasts. That's the main way we grow with this stuff, is listening to podcasts. And now I think Caleb's got some words for us that he's going to tell us about Patreon. So I'm going to toss this on over to Caleb.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to reach out and bring you some exciting news. Our Patreon is now live. Patreon is a way to support this podcast so we can keep it going. For $6 a month, which is the cost of a cup of coffee, you get exclusive content that is for members only. This includes special episodes, show notes, and early release of our upcoming episodes. As we grow, more will become available through our membership. Another exciting thing is that we will donate $1 out of the $6 membership fee to missions. This money will go into the hands of missionaries on the ground doing the Lord's work. We are working on this and will hopefully have a podcast episode where we interview the missionary soon, so stay tuned for this. So go to patreon.com/Raising the Wild Ones podcast, or click on the link to our Patreon site in the show notes below. Thank you for supporting this podcast, and God bless.